Welcome to the Manufacturing Matrix podcast. I am Craig Scott, founder and CEO of Fuuz, a manufacturing cloud, and I am joined today by one of my coworkers, Lance Menard. All right. Lance has been on the show once before.
Yep.
We're going to have him on quite a bit more.
Yep. Happy to be back. Yep.
To he's the technical arm of the Fuuz platform. So it runs the entire engineering group from a platform development standpoint. Fairly recently took over the application development as well.
Yeah.
So he's just a glutton for punishment.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
It's such a good time. He's been expanding the team and adding a lot of new folks to the team, which is exciting. And we're getting more product out there. And the purpose of today's podcast is really to talk about an event that Lance and I recently attended that was in Dallas, and that was the ProveIt conference put on by Walker Reynolds and Industry 4.0 Solutions. And we were not a presenter this year. We took a back seat because, our history, our origin is really from the IT down. And we didn't want to embarrass ourselves.
Right.
Frankly.
Right. We weren't sure how we'd fit.
Right. So
whether we'd fit.
Whether we'd fit. We went to the conference and eyes wide open, just wanted to take it all in. And, we learned a lot. We learned we learned a lot. So I want to have Lance take a few moments to share his initial impressions. You've been to a number of different conferences like KubeCon and different things that are
usually more technical,
very techy, right? But just from your perspective, because I have my perspective, I'll share. But what did you think in general?
Yeah, I mean, the high level impression I had is they did, first of all, just a fantastic job putting on a conference for the first time. The team there apparently had no experience putting on conferences or events like that, and they had like 600 people, something like that. Show up. Great turnout, like 30 some vendors, and they did a great job organizing that. That is, I imagine, an incredibly daunting job. So first of all, great job on the organizational side. Very impressive.
For sure. We can barely get a lunch.
Right.
Organized
yeah. I mean, it's I'm amazed. Yeah. In terms of the content, I mean, just the premise is fantastic, right? I mean, but we're in software, right? You're in sales, among other things.
Yeah.
So like you're very familiar with the amount of sort of decision paralysis that you can have at manufacturing company, small company especially. Small companies, they're just inundated by options and overwhelmed by everybody telling them all of the things that they should be doing. And all of those different software options come with this, wonderful pitch of how they're gonna, like 10x ROI, and we're gonna reduce your overhead. Problems. Yeah, it'll be great, and then usually doesn't work out quite that well.
Right.
And so the whole premise of this conference was, great, you can make all these wonderful claims about all the things you're going to do, prove it, right?
Yeah.
So, they came in with this virtual factory, which was modeled after a real manufacturer that kind of recorded the company for the plant for a few months, and then came in with kind of real life data, and then said, okay, great, this is your data set. Apply your software, solve a problem for that company. Kind of put your money where your mouth is, which is really refreshing to see, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's a neat idea. It's not something you see very often. Often it's sales presentations, right, and kind of PowerPoint slides, maybe sort of very canned, carefully curated demos.
Everything works perfectly.
Yes, everything works really great when it's all recorded videos and you're just clicking to start the next video on the PowerPoint slide. But so we saw some demos that were less polished. A few that were a little rough around the edges, but that's because it was real software, right? And often it was a more technical person doing the demo too. So
right.
Usually that's why they don't put us in front of prospects and customers. But so I mean, we learned a ton about kind of it's almost a movement, right? This kind of data ops, bottom up, data democracy sort of push, and then all of the kind of different software pieces that are in that space. Some of those are, components, right? Part of what might be a final solution. Some of them are kind of add-ons. They leverage that architecture that I'm sure we'll talk a bit about in a minute here. But
yeah. I don't want to say it's a cult, but it's definitely it was interesting. So I mirror a lot of the same sentiment there. And as you said, being in sales, we don't usually get an opportunity to go into a prospect, visit the shop floor, like ask our questions and solve their problem as part of the demo.
Yeah. It's basically a tiny proof of concept,
right?
Or proof of value.
I mean, I would love to be able to do that. That's really how we at Fuuz drive our value to our customers, though, is being able to show them exactly how we're going to solve their problem, not just, hey, here's MES or here's a cool dashboard. I won't talk about all the magic and science project that's involved in making this dashboard, but here it is. Isn't this great? Sign our contract. I mean, we don't operate that way.
Right.
And hence we don't win every single opportunity we're in, but I think it's more important to know that we're adding value for the customer, right? And understanding who the customer is. The customer's, that guy on the shop floor that has to use this solution. So I thought that was really cool. I thought the way that they handled the presentations was really cool. A lot of them were like you said, less polished than others. Some of them were pretty neatly scripted, almost like a play or a skit, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that was very cute.
Cute.
It's a fun way. I mean, I don't want to be demeaning. Like, it was a really neat idea. It's a fun way to kind of
bridge,
make it more interesting. And kind of bridge those worlds.
A little more interactive.
Rather than just having somebody standing on stage talking at you for 45 minutes.
Oh, for sure. And it was a brief moment in time. Like, to do all of that in 45 minutes is a challenge.
Yeah.
I do a lot of demos, and my demos could go on for 8 hours if they let me. I'd love to talk about what we do and how we do it. But, they had 45 minutes to present themselves. Usually there were 2 to 3 team members, right? Talk about their application, their technology, their solution, get into the problem solving of it, like show the problem solving, and then Q&A at the end.
Yeah.
That's like a lot.
That is a lot
to do in 45 minutes. I felt kind of bad for them.
I don't envy them. And I mean, spoiler alert, right? That'll probably be us next year. And we're going to have to do some planning, some like real.
Yeah, we're going to have to really pull it together. I'm really excited about next year. I think the other thing that was really cool about the show was that it wasn't like they did a great job putting it together, but it wasn't like one of those like polished, strict like kind of things. Things sort of moved with the flow, I think, of the audience, like what people were kind of, it's almost like the hosts and, Walker in particular. I mean, they leaned into, it seemed like, where the audience wanted the show to go. Yeah. So it evolved over the couple of days, which was interesting to see.
Yeah.
Unfold. You didn't really know. It's like, well, I got the agenda, but I don't know if that's really what's going to happen, which was kind of fun.
Yeah. They made a few changes on the fly just to kind of adapt to, kind of people running over, Walker running over mostly.
Right.
And kind of what people wanted to see more of or less of. So it's kind of fun to, the end of one day, you kind of sit down and the whole group, and they're like, all right, well, what do you guys want to do tomorrow morning?
Right. It was nice to allow the audience, and that's what it was all about, right? It was all about the attendees and the audience, and the whole concept of it was pretty cool. And, for the record, I'll say I do believe that Tesla and Amazon are, the top two. Right?
Just to get that on the record.
Leading edge. Yeah, I just want to say that, for that on the podcast. We're excited about next year. We saw a lot of things there at the show that, again, to kind of go back to how we started, was we came IT down. We have a ton of customers that we've worked with over the years that were deploying an ERP system. So oftentimes we were working directly with the IT teams, C-level execs, going, hey, our ERP only goes so far. We need to extend to the shop floor. And maybe they didn't have OT folks, or at least they didn't engage them.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Which is probably par for the course, unfortunately. But, MES really is that middle point where OT and IT converge, to overuse a word, but that's where they meet. And that's where we've always kind of been, extending ERP to the shop floor and then extending the shop floor back to the ERP. I never really looked at it that way, but I guess now it's sort of like eyes wide open. We're seeing a little bit more, just seeing some of the things that some of the vendors have built entire platforms around. And those entire platforms are, not to take anything away from what they're doing, but it's one feature of Fuuz.
Right.
So just seeing that, we all kicked ourselves that we didn't present this year. But I think we're better for it, right?
Yeah.
Because now we're walking in having a much better idea of what it is that we need to land. I mean, I think, I don't know. I don't want to.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest questions is what is the audience makeup going to look like, right? And it turns out that it's mostly, I mean, they were really proud of that. It was, 60% manufacturers,
And
like
users.
OT folks, right?
Right.
Like, so knowing that, that kind of informs what you present and how you present it, right? Like, so that's, assuming they can hit that again next year, and I'm sure they'll manage.
Yeah, and it seemed like the presentations that sort of hit the best were the ones that really addressed the consumers of the data that was being generated by the UNS, like Digital Factory, right? So there was a couple, and I'm not going to name these vendors.
I'll do my best not to then.
One of them in particular that we compete with regularly. And, they did a nice job. I'll give them credit. They did a really nice job taking the data and contextualizing it and turning it into something that someone could act on.
Yes.
And that's the key. Because if you're going to collect data for data collection's sake, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right. Now it's just taking up space.
And, stuff in a historian and never look at it.
It's like when I open the closet at home and I've just, my wife's Amazon boxes are, like, why do we have all this? Are we using it? No. I bought that, special spoonatula 2 years ago. I've never used it. Well, let's sell that thing. So collecting data just to shove it in a closet is useless. And I think the one solution I'm really interested in, I think, Google AI was really cool with the, ingesting the data and being able to run charts and analyze it, is really cool because we have a lot of customers asking us to do that. And, we have our capabilities in the platform, but like that was
something else.
Pretty cool.
Yep.
So we're going to look at, we'll talk more about our roadmap in another podcast, and, but we're looking at, a lot of those different connectors and how we'll connect to this ecosystem. Right. And it's not like Fuuz is a bit of a one size, right, a one-stop shop, but we're also cognizant to the fact that we have to play well, and we do play well with others.
Absolutely.
In the ecosystem and being open. We're a very open platform.
Yeah. I mean, one of the core founding sort of use cases for our platform was iPaaS, right? Integration platform as a service. So that kind of foundation of connecting to other systems is baked right in at the bottom of the platform.
Everything's API first.
Yep.
It's just,
Yep. Yeah. And that's that connectivity and that kind of open framework is I appreciate that coming from, like you mentioned, KubeCon, right?
Right.
I really value open source software. We use a lot of open source packages and kind of core components in the platform.
Yep.
And that methodology, even though a lot of the vendors that we saw and ourselves, right, we're not open source software, the fact that you can still, have those kind of intercompatibility layers is pretty great.
Yeah.
I had another topic. It's gone.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, back to me.
Yeah.
I mean, that ability to connect with anything, whether it's, on the edge or in the cloud, is really something that we've gotten really, really good at.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what it is. We connect with all different types of third parties. So what's nice about, I think, what we're bringing to the table next year is that we can meet the customer where they are.
Yes.
If they already have solutions in place that they really like to use, they're adding value, you plug Fuuz in, It's just part of the architecture, right? It's not a replace. Sure, it might be a duplication,
Right.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you look at our stuff and it doesn't necessarily meet your needs, or maybe it meets your needs better than what you have. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
up to the end user.
Yeah. And we had a conversation coming out of that conference of, are you better to be, for us, are we better to be, hyper focused, the absolute best in class at one very small slice, or, given what we've built so far, are we better off being, covering a very broad range of use cases, but maybe not every single possible option within there, or maybe not the absolute best in performance, or whatever it might be. And we really pretty quickly settled on, given the number of things that we can do, we're best to be that like you say, an entry point, right? We kind of lower the barrier to entry. You can bring our software and we can fill the gaps. But if you've already got existing software in place for data collection, you can use that. Yep. If you need something that goes beyond what we can do for whatever reason, whatever that might be, you need to connect to 60-year-old machinery, 50-year-old. I mean, I don't know how far back we
get. I mean, it goes back to the
70s, right? So
the steam engine power.
Yeah, right.
Second industrial revolution.
Yeah. Then, maybe that's not what we do, but we're happy to work with whatever you find that does that the best. So
right. I mean, we're extremely open architecture in all regards, right? We're the most open, non-open source platform, I think. Yeah. Someone told me that, who was at the show, put the show on. I won't name him by name again, but it's very clear that that's really the direction that we've taken. API first. We started as an iPaaS, a middleware, effectively just bridging the gap between different industrial systems and software, and extended that to the edge with our gateway to do that, on-premise.
Yeah, data collection and pre-processing. Yeah.
Right. So, gateway flows, we're pre-processing industrial data as it's streaming in from all your sensors and PLCs. Been doing it for a long time. So it's fun to see that at this show. That was what really resonated, because it usually doesn't resonate that well when I'm doing demos for the IT team. They're like, okay. Yeah. They don't really
They know that
always
PLCs
get it.
exist, and that, maybe you got to set a flag and it'll make the machine go.
Right.
And that's about what they care about.
It doesn't get them that excited.
PLC, connectivity, for sure.
And they get really excited about the fact that we're cloud native, right? We're cloud first. We take advantage of all of that good stuff, multi-tenancy, right? Shared resources, hyper scalable, amazing security, high availability, all the things you want that we offer from the cloud front of it. And they like the ability to, build their own apps and deploy their own apps, and whether it's MES, WMS, or a quoting system, or I don't know,
shipping integrations, whatever,
a UPS, FedEx thing, rate shopping, transportation management, pricing calculator,
vendor portals,
a vendor portal. The list.
It's a long list.
The list goes on, but all the things that you can do with Fuuz as a enterprise grade platform at that level, and then, getting down to the shop floor. So pretty stoked about what we're going to be able to show next year. I'm excited to learn more about what the use cases are. I know we've already got the team back at the shop really putting their thinking caps on. The whole unified namespace, actually seeing it in action and understanding how that delivers value to the customer, to the end user, was really, really, it was impressive. And how all of the vendors were able to just seamlessly plug in to that namespace and consume data from that virtual factory and publish data back to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they were all able to consume from each other, and they still are, apparently, from listening to some
recent Yeah.
in the roadmap.
Yeah,
but
there's a lot to come for sure.
yeah, and there are just so many parallels that we saw with some of the vendors there and what they're doing and what we do in the platform.
Yeah.
So it'll be an interesting story to go all the way from device to edge to cloud to analytics
Yep.
to action on the stage with one piece of software.
Yep.
One platform.
One platform. Yeah.
Right. So we just got to figure out who's going to do that presentation, because I know it's not going to be me. A lot of us are. I'm way too much of a nerd when it comes to the manufacturing pieces.
Yeah.
And you guys are a little too nerdy on the technical
yeah.
stuff. So we might need someone.
That was, it was an interesting brief. Apparently, the conference attendees were told by the hosts to use kind of technical people on stage. They wanted the demos to be more technical. So that's an interesting approach too, because you get a little bit of a little less polished
sales.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. A little more of an honest opinion sometimes.
Yeah, you
honest
don't
feedback.
need the charisma
Yeah.
as much. Yeah, people are there to get into the weeds.
Yeah,
I think more than you would get into
you get a bit more
in a typical
leeway on the
demo.
The polish side. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But.
Yeah. So no, it's interesting that we try to go into our customers. We try to meet them where they're at. We try to understand their actual issues on the shop floor, not just what the executives are telling us,
right?
Or management. Because I've been there. I've been in management, and I thought I knew what the issues were. Right. I mean, even to this day, I think I know what some of the. But you miss it.
Yep.
And it's really important to get out there and talk to the folks that are living it, dealing with it every day, understanding their issues, and collecting the data and looking at the data to identify areas where we can help them is key. And just plugging all of that together.
It's what we do.
Yeah. I don't know if we would have had an appreciation for what we could deliver had we, just done a presentation this year, but definitely next year. I appreciate everything that all the vendors showed. It was
absolutely,
everything was great. Learned a ton. We saw things that, we do that, but they kind of do it better, right? Or, I mean, there was a lot of that.
Or in some cases, like the Google Analytics, BigQuery, kind of the LLM AI stuff you mentioned is something that, we don't have the development resources to build something that polished, not without changing complete direction.
No, for sure.
So
if we only had to build that,
right, and exactly,
that's the problem.
We're not Google, but that's okay, right? Like
such a complex application.
Yeah,
not from an end users. I mean, but just what it does.
There's a lot in the platform. We were having that conversation internally today about. It's dense software. I will tell you that.
I'm so used to looking at it though from that IT perspective. Like ERP is dense, monolithic, complex, does every jack of all trades, right? And kind of coming from that world, we're like, well, we need to do it all. From a manufacturing floor up, we got to do it all. We didn't say, let's just focus on collecting the data.
Yeah,
and
life would have been easier.
It would have been so much easier.
Maybe a little harder to sell, but
but they're doing it, and so these guys are out there and they do it really well. And I'll say they probably do it better than we do.
Yeah, probably.
We just do a million other things.
Yeah,
so it makes it really tough. And it's just it's impressive. We have a relatively small team.
Yeah,
on the engineering side, under 20.
Yep.
And that's DevOps.
That's the whole
product development. It's the whole. How many teams do we have now?
Five functional teams.
Functional teams.
3-ish people each. Yep.
Yeah. So it's a lot to do with a small number of people, and also support all of our customers.
Yep.
Globally with the platform that are doing all sorts of interesting and sometimes crazy things.
Yep.
With it, but that's the nature of being, so open. Is that customers can do with it what they need to do.
Yeah. Yeah, and ultimately we don't have to do we don't have to do what Google does, because Google does it, right?
Exactly.
Like as long as we can connect to them get the data over there, you can use their cool, like, type in what is my OEE, and it just figures it out, generates some charts.
Yeah, Google, I mean, Snowflake, Databricks, whatever you want to use, we're an open platform. So push the data wherever you want to move the data to.
It's your data.
That's you own it. We're not going to hide it from you. Yeah. Like some vendors. But yeah, I think that's what's really, that was the really powerful part, because you don't usually see that much of an ecosystem. Yeah. In a lot of on the IT side. Yeah, definitely. Typically, it's very kind of compartmentalized. And then if you go far the other way, like to the deep OT side, like the hardware vendors, it's even more of a black box. Yeah. Very much. Like good luck getting your data.
Yeah, it was really neat to see. Even many of the presentations involved other pieces of software from the other vendors. Yeah. Right. The things that one vendor
hardware,
did do. Or hardware, right? Yeah. Which is just like
Opto,
kind of an amazing, like everybody's sort of lifting each other up,
right?
Kind of thing, which is different than
it's different than what we're used to, and it's our philosophy, like what we do with our partners, right? We get them all to work together. We have partners that are great on the IT ERP side. We have others that are really good on the shop floor, automation, and when we get into these big scale deployments, we get them all working together. We have a number of them going right now, and it's just fun to see it all come together. Yeah. Right? You bring the best tool for the task at hand. Yeah. And as a makerspace guy, you understand, right? Like tools. Yeah, I mean you can pound a nail in with a crescent wrench, but it's not.
And I would be lying if I said I'd never done it.
Oh, I've done it.
But should you? Probably not.
No,
especially not if you're using our tools at our shop. Please
don't do that.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that at Lance's shop. I've seen people definitely use the improper tool for the task at hand many times, and that's really where we've tried to be for our customers. Is we've tried to be that tool set,
right. You have the right tool at hand.
Yeah. So more on that, but it was an interesting show. We're looking forward to participating next year and bringing a bigger part of our team down. And, hopefully we'll be allowed to participate next year.
Hopefully.
If anyone's... I've emailed. I
imagine they're busy.
I've requested. So just, I know you'll probably listen to this at some point. Let us know. Because we're ready. We want to get going. Yeah. I think we're going to have, I think it'll be great. Like I'm very excited about it. Next year is supposed to be bigger, more attendees, more vendors.
I'm sure they will have worked out any of the little kinks. There were, a few hiccups, a few rough bumps. I'm sure they'll have that stuff smoothed out, and it's only going to get better. So
I've been to worse.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
I've been to much worse.
Yes.
Yeah. By companies that do it regularly. I've
been better.
I've definitely been to worse. So no, it was great. We're ready to go. We have a couple of pretty interesting life science things that we're working on right now. One of them I've already asked if they would be willing to co-present.
Nice.
Which would be pretty interesting because they're like the largest life science company in the world. So it'd be pretty cool. Yeah. To talk about their journey and what they're using Fuuz, for. So anyway, we'll see about that. I can't make any promises. They haven't committed yet, but we'll see if that happens. So anyway, it was a great time, and we're looking forward to it. Yeah, and we're getting the team ready. We're getting them comfortable with public speaking and whatnot.
Getting some practice.
Yep. Yeah, we're getting some practice. We've got our demo lab back at the shop with our Opto 22 PLC, and we've got our IoT torque wrench set up and
hooked up to the gateway.
Hooked up to the gateway. Our MQTT broker. We're doing it all. Yep. So that's really exciting to come together, and just showing also. The one thing we get all the time is like, well, you guys are cloud. What happens when the cloud goes out? Yeah. Yep. That's why we have the gateway. Yep. And so really just awesome to see that right? We've tested it. I've pulled the plug out a few times, and yep, it still runs.
Still runs.
I can still torque those wheels on that thing, and it still passes go and moves me to the next station. And then once the internet comes back up, it's all magically in the cloud in Fuuz.
Yep.
So pretty cool. So we're going to show all of that and more. The application will probably bring out our MES. I think some WMS. We'll probably do some quality.
How long do you think this demo is?
Maybe
again?
talk. I don't know. I'm hoping maybe we need to buy 2 or 3 spots, because I really feel like if I had 3 hours on the stage, you know, we could go all the way up to ERP.
Good. Yeah.
We could bring one of our ERP.
It would be very difficult to demo in 45 minutes.
Tough. That's going to be really difficult.
There were a lot of the presenters. There was a lot of like, please, we have more to show. Come see us at the booth.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot.
It's going to be rough. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a talker. When it comes to talking about our technology, I love to talk about it. Anything else, not so much. But it's going to be tough. So that's why I say I can't present, because I'll just stay up there for all day.
They'll be dragging you off stage.
Right. With the big hook. That would be embarrassing.
Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah. Hey, maybe we'll get some custom shirts made.
That'd be great.
Yeah. We had some cool ones before.
Yeah. Get
my mug.
Yes. Your face.
Yeah. We're not going to do that exactly, but
no. All right.
Yeah. But we got to be open to ideas here. Mostly I'm concerned about what are we going to have for swag, and
that's a typical.
Are we going to have a mascot?
That's we've had an engineer present a proposal for a mascot. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
So
it's nothing quite like handing out socks with a cute mascot on them to drive adoption of your software.
Yeah, I talked to our marketing team. Like, we got to have the socks.
Yeah,
that's what everybody's into. So
absolutely.
like, I'm really least worried about the presentation and what we're going to show.
It's all about the swag,
honestly, because I know that.
Yeah,
I don't want to I just don't want to give it away, but I'm really excited about what we're going to show. But yeah, it's the socks.
Yeah, definitely.
That's where it's at. So yeah, if you're watching this and you come next year, hopefully we're there. Hopefully they get back to us and let us present. We'd love to. And I think, and also I think it's important for us to also mention that, we'll probably reach out to a couple of the other vendors that were there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, even though we can do some of the things, it'd be good to involve them and use some of bits and pieces of their stuff.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And show the overall.
Demonstrate that open connectivity. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think that would be awesome too.
Mm-hmm.
So we're very open to, working with other technologists and partners and whatever. Come build your IP on our platform, whatever you want to do. We have a lot of those.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, anyway, that'll be exciting. So I'm sure we will, as we get closer and we learn more, we will definitely be doing more podcasts about, not to give all the secrets away, but
a little preview,
Yeah, a little preview.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. It's a very exciting show. So we'll just leave it at that. So thanks for listening to our 34-minute podcast. You'll probably cut that part out. But thanks for listening to the podcast today. Appreciate it. Hopefully you enjoyed learning more about the ProveIt show. If you aren't familiar with it, check it out on LinkedIn.
Attend next year.
Yep. Highly recommend it. So anyway,
absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Lance.
Absolutely.